we started making a name for ourselves, a lot of followings, the only Armenian heavy metal band. Come on. We threw a concert at a church, 700 people showed up in a little room. But after the third song, I would get up and just talk about the love of Christ, the love of God. At the Roxy, at the Troubadour, at the Whiskey, all those clubs, you would think people would throw bottles at you. Man, people would listen. Every time we were backstage, we would see all the big bands. I don't want to give any names. Cocaine, drugs, women coming in naked, coming out, just like crazy. And at one point, they knew, most people knew that we were, a Christian band. They would come crying into our room, and we would pray for them. So it was an interesting time in my life.
Well, I love the San Gabriel Valley.
Welcome to the My SGV podcast.
So I grew up here and I still live in Alhambra.
I was raised in between Temple City and Alhambra.
Eventually resided in South San Gabriel.
Our mission is to capture and share the stories of the people of the San Gabriel Valley.
Monterey Park has pretty much been my whole life.
Well, I'm proud to say that I was born and raised in the San Gabriel Valley.
We believe our diversity is what makes the SGV great. And no matter where you are from in the San Gabriel Valley, you will feel welcome. All right, SGVers, welcome back to another episode of the My SGV podcast. Thank you for tuning in. If you are new here, we bring you the stories of the people of the San Gabriel Valley. And if you are a returning listener, thank you so much for spending this time with us. Mano, we met at Lee's Hoagie House maybe a little over a month, maybe more than a month ago. Sahan is like always making jokes. I don't know when he's ever serious, right? But so I got introduced to you there. And then later on, I made the connection that you must be pastoring Shant as well. Is that right?
Correct.
That's sort of where we got introduced, and I'm interested in getting into your story. So, but before that, thank you to Paris Baguette for sponsoring the show with these delicious treats every week. Go check them out in the city of San Gabriel on Las Tunas, and say hi to Jason for us. Born in Beirut, Lebanon, he arrived in the U.S. in 1980 with family, carrying stories of war, displacement, and faith that would later become the foundation of his leadership. A mechanical engineer by training and a gearhead who loves modified BMWs, he simultaneously answered a different kind of call, serving youth, guiding lives, and shepherding community with heart. He spent 10 years as a youth pastor and over 25 years in senior pastoral leadership at ACOP, or Armenian Christian Outreach of PazNaz, weaving together theology, compassion, motorsports ministry, music, sports, and deep commitment to bringing people closer to love, power, and purpose. Now, husband, father of 3 boys, he blends his technical precision with spiritual insight, making complicated faith practical, rebuilding identity, and helping believers connect in real, grounded, relational ways. Please welcome to the show, Pastor Mano Agulian. Mano, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Did I pronounce that correct?
Well, my first name you pronounced very correct. Correctly, I should say, because it's your last name.
That's right. Yeah. So, I've not met another person on earth with the last name of mine, other outside of my family. So, when I met you, and I was like, oh, I actually never met another a Mano in my life.
It's such a common name too. If your name was Emmanuel, you're automatically called Mano. Everybody will call you Mano in the Middle East, and that's how I got the name.
Does it have any other meaning, or is it just a shortened version of Emmanuel?
Yeah, just if your name was Mano, people knew that your name was Emmanuel. So instead of calling you Emmanuel, they would call you Mano.
So people must make the mistake of thinking that you're Spanish or has some sort of Latin.
Yeah. Spanish, Portuguese, you name it. I've been kind of, especially with the accent too, the little bit of accent, it just throws everybody off. It's kind of, where are you from? So.
Yeah, because I wouldn't be able to tell, just from your appearance that you are Armenian, or are you ethnically Armenian or you're ethnically Lebanese? Like, what is that?
Ethnically Armenian from a town. My parents come from a town in old Armenia, which is Turkey today, called Adana. And if you would have met my father, blue eyes, white skin, kind of like your typical Armenian from that part of the world. So, and I think I have some of his features, and that's why most people are just thrown off by what they will see in Glendale as what an Armenian looks like, and then, you know, what a European, I should say, Armenian is. So there's no mix.
So, okay, so that part of Armenia, which is now Turkey, like, what are the mountains there called? In like near Azerbaijan, there's I forget the name of the mountains. Are they the Caucasoid Mountains? Caucasus Mountains or something? So the term Caucasian comes from that area, right? Yeah. Oh, and then what are the mountains of Ararat?
Ararat, yeah.
That's now in Turkey, right?
Correct.
But
half of it, well, one side of it is in Turkey, the other side is in Armenia.
Let's start with, what is your connection to the San Gabriel Valley?
1980, we moved here because my aunts had moved here from Lebanon, and that was it. So 1980, Pasadena, California, and never moved out of Pasadena. I tried a couple of times. It just did not feel home. You know, I mean, I went to high school here, and there's so many other, you know, connections to Pasadena, St. Gabriel's. You know,
so you landed in Pasadena and not like in Glendale? Yeah,
no, Glendale was not the hub of Armenians. It was Pasadena. In 1980, Pasadena was where all the old Armenians, we call them the old Armenians because they were here pre-genocide. They were here pre-1915, and they had established kind of a community and church. And the first thing that Armenians look for will be a church, an Armenian church, so they can connect and bring the community together. So there were a couple of churches in Pasadena, and family was here. So, and then Glendale became pretty big after the 90s, you know, so.
I had learned that a lot of early Armenians actually landed in Fresno.
Yeah. Lived there for a year.
Oh, you did?
Incredible.
Okay.
All their last names are changed. Let's say if you were IAN is our last name, or YAN, that's how you know you're an Armenian. So if you were, let's say, a lion in Armenian, which would be Aslanyan, they would change Aslanyan and they would just call themselves Lion. So in Fresno, Armenians, you would not know that they're Armenians because their last name, they've changed to an American last name, and their first name is usually another American name. So that was strange. I lived there for a year, by the way. My wife wanted to do pre-med at Fresno State, so I moved ahead of her and lived there. They're considered to be the oldest Armenians. And very interesting story. They were not accepted or loved, and there are so many stories about the Fresno Armenians that there are restaurants that said no dogs, no Armenians allowed, and that's why they had to change their name. They had to lose their accent, but they were hardworking farmers, and eventually they end up owning Fresno. They own every property, every line around Fresno, and end up owning Fresno. It's a very interesting story. So I got to meet the Fresno Armenians. One thing interesting about Armenians, Russ, is just if you bring in, we're from all over the place because of the genocide, right? So genocide happened. It was kind of like here's the desert. If you have a God, then let God take care of you. And, provision of probably 1 week of food, walk of 6 months or months and months. So old Armenians end up in closest to old Armenia, which would be Middle East, Syria, Lebanon, Iraq, and anything upwards, a lot of European countries. So wherever they walked, that's where they established their home. First thing they did, they built churches and then schools, and they became a small community, but they connected that way. But today, if you bring Armenians from, let's say, Iran, and let's say Lebanon or Russia, or we're literally culturally are so different. Our foods are different. Yeah, we've preserved a lot of the traditional foods, but culturally we're very different. So it makes it very interesting.
Oh, yes. I have friends that are Russian Armenian, Armenian, Lebanese Armenian, and Iranian Armenian.
Yep.
And very different.
Yep.
Yeah.
Lebanese Armenian are unique in their own way. When you think of Lebanon, you would think that, wow, Lebanon, it's a huge place. But it's probably 1/4 of California. Now, 1/4 of California, but then it's divided to north and south. But when you meet an Armenian from Lebanon, I guess this would be my mental picture. Have you ever seen a little dog, little puppy that just goes against a huge Rottweiler or something like that? Internally, if you're Lebanese, you think you're big. You think the whole world stops when you arrive, because that's how they just cherish their little land, culture, food. Amazing. It's its own world, and it's the only place that you could be a Muslim and a Christian and live right next to each other. In fact, the churches and the mosques are connected to each other, literally connected. And because if anyone that's a Muslim that knows the Quran knows that, for example, Jesus is the Word of God, Kalam Allah, right? And then they also know that he was born from a virgin, Mary. So the Quran speaks about Isa, Isa being Jesus plenty of times. So there was a great deal of respect that towards one another. So it was knowledge is everything in Lebanon. That's, if I may put it that way. There's non-ignorance. There's no ignorance. An average person is very educated. So when they sit and speak to you, they know everything about you and they respect everything about you. And that's what I would say Lebanon is. Highly educated. People pursue knowledge and very interconnected. So I'm Armenian, born in Lebanon, and I never felt like I was Armenian. I always felt like, yeah, I'm Lebanese. This is my country. So it's a very interesting place.
I have an idea of why your family left, but why did they leave?
So my father was, again, he was an educated man. He said he'll never leave Lebanon. And the war had started in 1975. And again, Lebanese people are people that they run on hope. And it's always positive hope. I don't think you'll ever meet a cynic Armenian or, Lebanese person. A cynic Lebanese person is what I want to say. Everything is positive. Everything will be well. So my brother, he had sent my brother to Laverne as a student. And then the war had happened and all that stuff. So I think my dad never wanted to leave Lebanon. But he realized that I'm growing up and as a male in Lebanon during war, and I'm starting to hit the streets and also belong to a political party. And I think that the moment he acknowledged that there was a gun hidden under my bed, and I would get up and just go in the mornings, to my political party. He realized that, I think I'm going to lose my son. And I got nicked a couple of times by bullets, it's war. I really think that he said, I'm not going to lose my son over what I think it's going to get better. I'm going to pack up and leave. So it was a very quick decision. He got his green card because he was involved translating for the government, and we got visas. And first step was New York for a day, and immigration after New York, California.
Wow.
So,
okay, so you landed here in Pasadena, and how old were you at that time?
I was 13.
Oh,
13, 14 years old. I must have been. Yes.
Wow. And how did you handle that?
Interestingly, so first day I wake up, right? And my aunt says, hey, there's a store up the street called Alpha Beta. Why don't you go and pick your cereal, since you like cereal? And we only had one kind of cereal. It was cornflakes. We didn't have any other cereal. So I remember my first day, I went to Alpha Beta, little bit of understood yes, no, little words here and there, right? Lebanon was a French colony, so I spoke French rather than English. So went to the cereal aisle, and my brain just blew up. And I realized that, wait a minute, now I have 30 choices of cereal. And how awful is that? And I realized this country can become very confusing when it comes to making choices. Not everything is straightforward, black and white. So that was an interesting scene. I remember grabbing my cereal, finding cornflakes, walking back home, and right next door there was a little basketball court, and some kids were playing, my age kids, and I heard Armenian. Like, what? So, and I walked up to them. It's like, they're speaking Armenian. I said, hey, you want to play? I'm like, hey, I just came. This is my first day, and I met my friends there. The friend that I actually met, his name is Eddie Yervant, is still my best friend today.
Oh, wow.
So many years, right? So it was easy. Then I went to high school, and there were a few Armenians back then.
Where'd you go?
Marshall High School. So on Allen, and it was easy for me to connect. Of course, couldn't understand. I would walk into a classroom, not unless it was math, algebra, whatever. That was easy to do. But when it came to English classes, just would look at the teacher and just grab words here and there and try to make a sentence out of it. It was difficult back then, but eventually, of course, you learn the language. You're young, and you'll learn the language.
Mm. Also, you ran into some friendly faces that very first day out.
Yeah, that was pretty, divine, I think. Just made it easy.
What kind of, life were you living at that time? Or what did you want to be? Did you just want to survive that time? Like, what were your thoughts at that time?
Well, what is it that I wanted to be? I wanted to be an American. And I wanted to be the American that I knew from shows, right? And
what shows?
All right, so Happy Days, right? I wanted to be one of the characters in Happy Days.
Which one? Fonz?
Fonz was, it was incredible. That show, Happy Days, was just an incredible show. And it was about happy days, right? And every episode had challenges, but it was very moral. The good always won, bullies always lost. And so it was that and Bonanza, I wanted to be a cowboy. I wanted to be the biker with a leather jacket. America is very intriguing. Look, if you don't live here and you live anywhere outside here, America is a very attractive culture. Now, we're talking about America. We're not talking about today, and America has lost its identity. Actually, it doesn't know what it is. But America back then was a very clear-cut identity. And this is who we are. This is what we believe in, and that's what I wanted to become. And that's why I didn't want to speak Armenian anymore, right? I wanted to speak English. I wanted to work on my English. I wanted to be able to become an American. Because I've never been an Armenian. I've never was born in Armenia. I went to Armenia, I think it was maybe 12 years ago was my first time ever stepping into Armenia. Right. Prior to that, I was just an Armenian in Lebanon. So I was a Lebanese Armenian. So here I am in America. I just want to be an American Armenian, but I just want to be an American. Now, this is a place where you can actually become, or the land or the country becomes you, and you become the country. And you can just call yourself an American, right? And it's norm here. You could be any color, any shape, anything. You can be Irish, German. Doesn't matter what you are American, right? The only real Americans we understood in Lebanon were the natives, right? Everyone else was a mixed bowl of what they had made America to be. So, and that's what I wanted to be. And the shows were just amazing, right? Little House on the Prairie, one of my favorite shows, right?
Yeah.
It's just good stories, always good stories, always good things. And if you're not in America, you think that's America, and this is where I want to be.
Wow, that's interesting. Little House on the Prairie.
Yeah.
Laura Ingalls.
That's
Waller.
right.
Yeah.
We were all in love with her, right?
So, you wanted to become an American, and what did you pursue after high school?
So I didn't have much choice what to pursue. You have to remember, this is a immigrant family, and that has come here with literally $0. What that means is you can't sell anything. It's war. There's no bank. There's no bank accounts. You know, everything is collapsed. So you pick up a luggage, and whatever you could put in there, you bring with you. And you start fresh, of course. You'd have your family members that will help you out, rent a house for you, and fill the refrigerator. And after that, you were on your own. So all of us went to work. And it's odd for me to find a job at 14 years old, to find a job. But my dad knew someone from church that had a body shop and automotive, and he threw me in there and said, "No, this is what you're going to do." My sisters as well, they all worked at grocery stores. My brother was in school, still finishing school, and then later he became a banker, and then later he became a pastor. So he was going to school. We were all working. My parents were kind of too old to work. We had to provide. We had to provide for a place to rent, the rented place that we have. It was interesting. There was 6 of us, and it was 850 square foot back house.
That's quite small.
It's quite small. We lived there happy until we realized, of course, and this was my brother's knowledge and my mom's, of course, that you can buy a house in America, and it's you don't have to pay it all up front. Pay a down payment, and you make payments. And we looked at the rent that we're paying, and we said, well, wait a minute, we can buy a house for $60,000. The payments are going to be $700. We're already paying $400. This will be our house, and it's actually 1,400 square feet. So in 81, I remember we bought our first house. Down payment was $2,700, and we didn't have all the money. We were $800 short, and the realtor carried us. Said, I'll give you the $800, and then you guys could pay me later. But that was America. So, that was a little house on the prairie, people helping each other, so, and we got our first house. It was funny, So we worked. I happened to catch the trade real quick, the automotive trade real quick, and I was bringing in the most money. So after high school, it was kind of dragging to go to PCC because I was the main provider. So I always thought I would be a musician. Grew up in opera. As a young person, at the age of 7, I sang in front of the president. I had a voice, castrato voice, so my family was in opera. They were all musicians. I thought I would be an opera singer. The other part of the family were all pastors and teachers. I'm like, I don't want to do anything with that. Much rather sing. So that's what I thought. And wherever I was put, I had to do the best of it. And I hated automotive. I hated working on cars. So that's why I started building race cars, because it was more attractive. It was cool. You walk up to someone, hey, what do you do? Well, I build race cars. Wow, that's so cool. Versus I'm a mechanic. Right. So
I want to go back to living in 850 square foot place. And you said, but you were happy. And I'm like, yeah, of course, Some other guests, 3 families in a 3-bedroom apartment, 3 families. Mm-hmm. But they were happy, right? And I think about like families, and every kid has their own room, and everybody, but then everybody's spending all their time in their own rooms, and how sad that is.
Yep.
Versus, if you're together, you're together, right? And even though there's ups and downs, like just being together, like, that's priceless, right?
Definitely. Most definitely.
So, okay. So you got thrust into Automotive. And automotive has a whole bunch of things: fabrication, general, body work. What type of work were you doing?
My first job was working for a body shop / automotive mechanic shop.
Okay.
And they were from Damascus. And if you know
Syria.
anything about, Syria, Damascus. If you know anything about, Shahan is from Damascus, by the way.
Oh, is he?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
He was born there, yeah. If you know anything about Damascus, you know that they're the world's leading metallurgists. They can mess with metal, take metal, shape metal, you name it, fold metal, So my boss was from Damascus, and I remember there was an incident where a whole door was not available, and it was in an accident. And he took a door skin out of another car that was bigger. He shaped it and molded it and made it fit so perfect. I said, this is what I want to do. I want to do the art part of the car, not just replacing, but because I grew up in art, right? And that was, for me, was like, wow, that's it. This is what I want to do. So dragging my feet to go to work turned into something amazing. By the way, my boss was paying me $45 a week. That includes, Saturday all day. And part of him that, well, you have to work here. Where else are you going to go? You can't get a job anywhere else. So he was giving me $45 a week. Within 2 to 3 years, I became so good because I had put my heart into, fabrication, art part of it, that Nissan picked me up. A friend of mine was working there. Nissan picked me up, and I went to my boss, said, boss, I want to give you 2 weeks notice. I didn't know what a 2 weeks notice was. I thought, you quit, you just walk away and say bye. I want to give you a 2 weeks notice, and I have a job. I'm working for Nissan. He was very angry at me, and I remember Nissan offered $370 a week plus flagging hours. Flagging hours means if you finish your job, the job will take 6 hours to do. We'll pay you for the 6 hours, but if you finish in 3 hours, the rest of the 3 hours is yours. Go do another car. So, and he's like, what are they paying you? I'm like, it doesn't matter. I didn't want to tell him they're paying me.
Of course he's upset because he was getting away paying you nothing.
I said, boss, they're paying me a lot of money, but I want to work for a big company, and so that was it. Went from Nissan to Dodge and pursued my career in automotive performance and fabrication. And later, when I was 30 years old, is when I decided that I wanted to go back to school.
And what did you go back to school for?
So another part of my dilemma was that my father and my brother had just left the banking world, and he went back and got his second master's degree in theology from Fuller, and he became a full-time pastor. So that really kind of upsetted me because my brother is a genius, speaks, 6 languages and a genius, and my father was also a genius. The fact that they didn't pursue medicine, law, engineering, and all that other stuff, it really, challenged me. It's like, Dad, you became a pastor. Because of that, we struggled financially. Because of that, we lived in an 800 square foot house. Because of that, it's like I am the one that's providing, and because of my income, we're buying a house. And then when my brother, I'm like, you know what, I'm going to go get a couple of classes. And I started taking my mechanical, started pursuing design and mechanical and all that other stuff. I'll take a course in theology. I'll take a course in archaeology. I'll take a course in 8 years later. I got my degree. So simple, of course, master's, a 3 years degree. It took me 8 years. And I had so much information. And I fell into the same trap of my dad and my brother that I was upset at. It's like, I think I want to help young people get out of this state of drugs, self-identity, confused, walking around, and they don't know what to follow. In high school, I realized, well, the heavy metal people hung out with each other because they identified in heavy metal. The mod music or whatever different music was. They all kind of connected in high school, and I realized that. Well, you find an identity. You hang out with people that you identify on something, and that becomes your community, and that becomes your identity. Now, nothing has changed in Lebanon. You worked very hard to get an identity, and your identity was, what do you do for a living? I'm a doctor. What do you do for a living? I'm an engineer. What do you do for? So it's no longer, who are you? I'm Mano. It's, what do you do? What's your identity? And that makes it easier for people to kind of, either stereotype you or understand who you are, right? So, and that was the identity of finding an identity. And I realized, wow, young people in America, they have 30 cereals to decide on what they want to have as breakfast. And that's why, because of that, they're completely lost, and they connect into whatever the world presents as, whether it's music and art or education, and you identify with that, right? And I realized that something is not right, right? You would go to church, either they're sitting talking about, their next class that they have to take, or the bragging of, I'm taking 22 units, or the other group, you would go and say, they're talking about sports, right? I realized that's like, this is an identity crisis. Nobody can sit down and have a general conversation. And I realized that for a lot of people, they will not fit into those categories, but music is general. They can fit in any genre of music and connect with music. So my first ministry was music. I started a rock and roll band, and we went to all the clubs in Hollywood and preached Jesus, preached, before you were even conceived, God says, I had known of you and plans for your life. Before you were even born, you had an identity. You don't have to find an identity or click. They're fun. Find something, enjoy it, but that's not who you are. Your unique you is the inner you that was created before you were even born. So that became my message to the young people. And getting at this point, I'm building some amazing cars back in the days, and getting a $10,000 a week check back in the days versus seeing a life change of a young person, a girl or guy, that walks away from confused state, not necessarily drugs, just confused state of cutting themselves, depressed, or whatever it is, to a victorious state of, yeah, I am somebody, and my identity is not with connecting with some of those things. Some of those things are fun to connect with, but that's not who I am. So, and that just, I think it changed my life. I did a lot of archaeology, of course. I did Koine Greek and the Roman military and the culture of Roman military. I studied a lot. Northumberland, England, would fly there back and forth. So had a lot of good insight. And I became a full-time pastor.
It's like your dad and your brother, huh? Yeah. Well, I want to get more into that story, but Mano, we asked each guest to bring an item with them. What did you bring with you today?
I brought Fonzie's jacket.
Fonzie's jacket. Okay, can you show us?
So, all right. So,
can you show this camera here?
Yeah. So this is it. I mean,
so for the listening audience, it's a leather jacket.
Yeah.
Right?
It's a leather jacket.
Looks like if you ride motorcycle or something.
Exactly. I mean, this was it, and this is what I saw in Ponzi. And I wanted one of these, and I wanted a Levi's jeans, right? So when I came here, got into a heavy metal band, rock and roll band, and I bought my first jacket.
You must feel transformed when you put it on.
Man, I don't fit in it anymore. I'm like, what happened to me? But yeah, I mean, this was it. This Levi's and bands. Oof, man, you're an American. It's like, and you have to remember, like, the Lebanese culture is overdressed culture.
It is.
Oh, incredible! Like if a mom tells her 15-year-old daughter, go down to the store and get 2 gallons of milk, come up, right? You would think whatever she's wearing, she would go down, get it, come up. Full dress, full makeup, would go down, get the milk, come up, put her pajamas back on or her shorts back on. That's culture. Everybody wore suit. Lebanon is, they say the little Paris of Middle East. I don't think so. I think Paris is the little Paris of Lebanon. That's how culturally it is so advanced, right? And we always say, no wonder Jesus' first miracle was in Lebanon, right?
Wait, what was it?
He turned water into wine.
Was that in Lebanon?
Canaan, yeah. In Ghana and Lebanon, so very interesting.
Yeah, when you said Damascus, the two things that immediately come to mind are steel and Saul. Yep. When I hear that term, right, Damascus,
that's right.
Damascus steel, and Saul becoming Paul. But I want to get more into your pastoral ministry, but let's take a quick break, and we'll be right back.
Sometimes even the best of us can slip up. That's why the law offices of Scott Wormuth are here to pick you back up again.
And while they strive to get you the biggest compensation possible, oh my gosh,
their main concern is your health and recovery. They work closely with doctors and insurance companies to make sure you get the proper medical treatment.
Initial consultations are free, so give them a call.
At the law offices of Scott Wormuth, we're with you all the way.
I'm Scott Wormuth. We've been fighting for your rights for more than 40 years.
All right, we're back with Mano. Mano, before the break, you were sharing with us about your rock band and your jacket, and then eventually following in your father's and brother's footsteps, so to speak. Before we get on to your story, though, when we come back from the break, we like to ask questions from this deck of cards called Icebreakers, and they're just another way for the audience to get to know us a little bit better. I'm going to adjust this one for this conversation, so this is my own question. It's sort of off here. This one says, what is your favorite quote? But my question to you is, what is your favorite Bible verse, or do you have a life verse?
My favorite verse is, do not be deceived. And it's not just a verse, it's my principle, and it's sort of my foundation. Do not be deceived. God cannot be mocked. The measure you sow is the measure you reap. The engineering design of God, you can fool yourself, but if you sow lemon seed, you're not going to get an orange tree. You're going to get a lemon tree. I love that. It's about God's perfect design, and it's not law, it's engineering. Anything outside of that will crumble. So
I used to go to church camp. I guess it's called church camp when I was younger. It was called Ulijwa. It was in Apple Valley. And Ulijwa stood for Youth Living Jesus Way. It's no longer there. I went there, every summer, and we would do Bible study. And I didn't know why this verse resonated so powerfully to me as a young child. And then later on in life, it still resonated with me. So I would say that was the first time I came across this verse, probably at age 11 or something, 12, and stuck with me my whole life. And the verse is, you will succeed not by power nor by might, but by my spirit.
Yep.
Yeah. So that's Zechariah 4:6. Yep. So that's mine. And every time I go against that, things don't go well.
That's right. Yeah. Human wisdom and strength is very weak in comparison to God's.
Sure. Well, I guess this is, not everybody is of faith, but if you are of faith and you're listening to this, let us know what your favorite verse is. So, Mano, back to you and your story. So now you want to reach the youth of America. You finished theology school, and do you go right into pastoring a church?
No. I realized that what I wanted to do didn't belong in the church. It belonged outside. So it was an outreach. What God had called me is to reach out. And one of my strengths was music. And at that time, rock and roll and heavy metal was 80s, was big. So I got a lot of influence from that era. And this is, by the way, before I graduated. So the first year of seminary school, I've already said, this is what I want to do. I want to tell people about God. I want to help my friends who feel so alone. And I've never met anyone that doesn't have faith. There's a lot of, remember, you walk into that cereal aisle, there's 30,000 cereals or 3,000 cereals or whatever to pick from. Which one is the first cereal that the rest of them copied, right? So we all have faith. Most are copies, most are, traditionally passed, a lot of cultural past faith. I went to school to find out, can I prove that my faith is wrong? You have to remember, Russell, the Bible is, and Jesus in the Bible really gets in your way of what you want to do as a human being. It's not just about peace and be kind to your neighbor. It's not about universalism and, that kind of like just a kind of a faith. It's it's a relationship. It's a walking relationship that will keep you away from doing a lot of things
that you really want to do.
Yeah, that you really want to do. And you see the struggle of Paul, keeps talking about that. And it's not because, and I understand from C.S. Lewis, I understood that sin is not something bad that you do that God is upset at, right? Sin is when you do the right thing at the wrong place with the wrong person in the wrong amount, right? And that's what sin is. Sin is to do the right thing and with the wrong person to the wrong place in the wrong amount, the wrong time, So I realized that what the Bible is actually about is not to hurt yourself, but more than that is not to hurt others because of your action, because of your selfish desires, right? So, and I learned that guys are going to girls and saying, "Hey, I love you, I want to go out with you," and I realized, no, you're saying I desire you, and I want to have you because I desire you. It wasn't about love anymore, right? And I think since the 80s till today, we completely lost the meaning of what love is. Love is not a good word. A lot of people say love is a very ugly word. Love means that you're willing to sacrifice yourself for the betterment of somebody else. It's not a desire. It's not I love chocolate cake, Nobody's marrying chocolate cake. You see what I'm saying? So, and I realized that it's like, wow. Love is when you sacrifice yourself, and love is when you tell someone that, hey, what you're doing is wrong, and not wrong because there's a religion that says you shouldn't do this. It's wrong against the design and the engineering of whoever engineered and created this universe, right? Phone maker, watch maker, man maker. We're not a cosmic accident. There's a maker, and if there's a maker, there's a purpose. Look, I could use my phone as a weapon, hit someone with it. But my phone is not designed for that. My phone is designed to communicate, keep records, say, hey, I'm going to see Russell on Wednesday at this time, and remind me. It has a lot of good features, but it can be a weapon, right? So same thing with man and the design of man. And I think religion did a very bad job by making Christianity about rules that you shouldn't do, right? And that's my struggle. Jesus in the Bible got in the way of things that I wanted to do till I realized that, wow, that is the most unpeaceful disaster, full of anxiousness and depression type of a life, right? I build race cars. And once in a while I get a call. It's like, yeah, my engine blew up. I'm like, okay, don't touch it. Bring it to me. Every time they bring it to me, they've touched it. They drained the oil. They took everything out of it. And my next question is, what oil did you use? Well, we had this oil. I said, but it's not designed for the oil, that oil. Oil is oil, you might think, but every oil and every viscosity has its own purpose, So it fell apart because, well, this is what we had. This is what I wanted to do. I realized that, wow, man, the church has been explaining, well, of course, not all churches where I was, the wrong thing. That God is this Greek God. Jesus in the Bible is this Greek Jesus God, that if you messed up and you didn't sacrifice, you didn't bring your correct sacrifice, or you didn't pray, you might not get rain and you might not get crop, and God is punishing you. I looked in the Bible, I was like, where is that? I can't find it. This is a book about the engineer and the designer of this world that says, you want to enjoy heaven here and now and prepare for eternity? You want to enjoy peace right now? Then, number one, ask the greatest question that you need to ask. How did I get here? Who made me? Now, to say that, you need to be a bias. You can't use any of your cultural faith, right? And that's the searching part. And Jesus says, ask, seek, knock, and when you do that, doors will be open, and you will see things, right? And it's that part of it that you will realize. And what is it that you would, the door will open, you would see? Not Christianity from the religious perspective, but it was the designer who designed you, that is God. And he loves you so much, that he gave his only begotten Son. So whoever believes in him will not perish, but have an everlasting life. Perish is not about dying in heaven and hell. Perishes now, and the young people were perishing now because no one was telling them what Scripture is all about. I was going to do that, not in the church. I was going to do that with a heavy metal band. So I grew my hair, got Eddie, Yervant, my best friend. So you're going to play bass? He's like, man, I can't even sing. It's like, well, you're not singing, you're playing bass, right? So we had another friend named Reggie, and we got a band together. And at that time, by the way, Guns N' Roses, Def Leppard, Metallica, all those were Hollywood club bands. So we got in with the club bands. And of course, we had 6 songs. And if you practice them every day for 1 year, you will sound very good. You would sound like a musician, right? We did that. So we would go to clubs, and the third song I would come up and I would talk to people about true love and not what they're experiencing and what this desire stuff is, right? What true love is, right? And explain to them. And then eventually I became courageous after we started making a name for ourselves. A lot of followings. The only Armenian heavy metal band. Come on, Russell. All the Armenians were following us. It was pretty cool. We threw a concert at a church. 700 people showed up in a little room. So we had our own fame. But after the third song, I would get up and just talk about the love of Christ, the love of God. And you would be surprised. You would think at the Roxy, at the Troubadour, at the Whiskey, at the all those clubs, you would think people would throw bottles at you. Man, people would listen. I remember at the Roxy, I did an altar call. Altar call is basically, it's like, hey, like, you want to take a first step of faith, finding God, you need to drop pride. You need to come forward and say, I don't care what people think about me. Lord, I'm very serious. I want to know who you are, right? Kind of knock yourself off of your own horse and on the way to Damascus, right? So, and I did altar call, and a lot of people came. And in fact, a lot of girls came. And you realize that girls are the most vulnerable creation of God. Their hearts are never meant to be broken, right? And they were created to be cared and loved and cherished, and because they're they're feminine, not masculine. Like if you read the book of Proverbs, it talks about wisdom, and wisdom is she's feminine. Love is feminine. All the attributes you read in the Bible that are very precious and sensitive are feminine, and our women are very feminine. Can they bench press 300 pounds? Yeah. Can they become amazing lawyers and doctors? Yeah. Can they become engineers? Yeah. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about the inner creation and design of a woman and inner creation design of a man. And the focus is not competition. The focus is not degrading. The focus is really the unique creation of the Creator that has created men, women, completely different, animals, completely different, for a purpose, right? So, and we hit the clubs, and we did good until in the late 80s and 90s. Our guitar player wanted to go secular, and he took cigarettes. I'm like, I'm not into this. Because every time we were backstage, we would see all the big bands. I don't want to give any names. Cokes and cocaine, drugs, women coming in naked, coming out, just like crazy. And at one point, they knew, most people knew that we were, a Christian band. They would come crying into our room, and we would pray for them. So it was an interesting time in my life. So I knew that my ministry was outside the church. Preaching is the least part of ministry for any pastor, right? It's being into people. And that's why today I have a shop that I train young people how to build cars, and build tradesmen and send them out into the world as tradesmen.
To add on to what you said about ministry being outside of the church, there's this quote, I don't remember it, but it's something like this, like where this pastor is like, I'm always talking about, or I'm always demonstrating or, telling people about the good news. And sometimes I use words.
Yeah.
So he's like living it out, right? Well, that sounds like quite the life, playing in a band, and spreading the word like that. The church is, where two or more are gathered in his name, not so much a building where people go on Sundays. Yeah. I get what you mean by the church. People have this image of what church is, and organized religion, I would say, has done its fair share of harm.
Very.
In people's minds. So, okay. And so now you are at PazNaz.
Yeah.
That's on Sierra Madre, right up on the hill.
Been there for 25 years.
For 25 years?
Yeah, full time.
Oh, wow. Okay. And is it the Sunday service that you...
Yeah,
you do?
Sunday morning, we have our main Sunday morning service. I'm Sunday night at 5 o'clock in Lee Chapel. In English, mainly young people, young couples, mainly young people.
Mainly Armenian?
Not necessarily, but a lot of Armenians, yes.
Okay.
A lot of Armenians, it's just for everybody.
And is there a worship service
worship,
there?
Yeah.
Ah, okay.
Worship and a message and hangout afterwards.
Hangout, what does that look like?
It's pretty good. We always have food. There's always something out there, and just meet people, talk to people. It's a pretty good place. It's a pretty relaxed place. And
Sundays at 5 p.m.
5 p.m.
And what does the congregation there look like? Is it mostly young people?
Young, yeah. When I say young, it's very interesting. I have a lot of 12, 14-year-olds that show up, and I don't know what they're doing there because their parents are there too, but they're there. And a lot of young couples who have teenage kids or single people. So that's the age kind of. I think I'm the oldest person there, and I stuck it out. That's why.
Okay. Well, before we go on to the final segment, you said your ministry is also in the cars, right? So you're teaching young kids to do fabrication?
Yeah. So the joke, the company is called Modified instead of Modified. And another joke was he doesn't leave anything alone. He modifies it. So I said, okay, I'm going to start a company called it Modified. Modified means we modify everything. And we started that specifically in older BMW, vintage BMW restoration and hot rodding.
Like how old?
Like from 67 to 76 BMWs.
Okay.
One brand, 2002. We get those and we put modern engines in there and turn them into daily drivers. Fast, quick. You can track them. You can take them to the canyon, or you can drive them every day. So all modern stuff, and that's called hot rodding, right? We hot rod them.
It's like 3 Series, 5 Series.
Oh, it was a 2002 is not the year of the car, is the brand of the car or the mark of the car. 2 Series, 2 liter, 2002.
Yeah, I mean, I know the numbers, what they mean, but I never heard of that. A 2 Series, 2 liter?
2000 Series, 2 liter, and 2 Series is the chassis.
And what size engine is originally in there?
2000, 2 liter.
Was that like inline 4?
Yeah, inline 4. They did have 1600s, they did have 1800s, but the M10, which is the inline 4 motor, is what comes into those. So what we do on some, we put the modern E36 M3 motors, which are 6-cylinder. Yeah, we do a lot of.
You put an M3 motor in there.
Turbocharged, 600 horsepower. I just did a show with Jay Leno. He drove it. He went nuts. He's like, "Oh, I love this car. This is amazing." So, and
what kind of horsepower are you getting?
600. A good built S52 will push you about 600 horsepower.
Wow.
Yeah, amazing fun. Good power for that weight ratio, which is 2,000, is a 300 horsepower. Anywhere when you're 2 to 300 horsepower, it's a fun car to drive. Very fun car to drive.
You got 6.
Yep. You can put 6. I've done so many things. I just been doing this for a long time.
Are you tuning these cars too?
Yeah, we tune them, build them, and complete restoration.
So you're getting 6 to the tires,
if that's what they want. And I suggest that 300 is good enough. So I do have some crazy people that want power, and we can make it. It's not that difficult.
Isn't the M5 one of those cars, like I forget what year, maybe 2010, you can get like 500 horse stock, but 8 miles a gallon or something?
Oh, that's like, your gauge goes down with the RPM as the RPM goes down, fuel gauge.
Oh, man. Yeah, I never owned a BMW, but I drove one. Several, I think, maybe 2 in Germany. Fun cars.
Amazing cars.
Yeah.
And for me, it's a good platform to tell young people, hey, do you want to learn how to build a race car or fabricate hot rod? Not oil change. You want to learn how to do brakes. All that is part of it, of course, and it attracts them. And there was a young man that came to church. His name was Ed. Down and out, he just walked out of jail, and he's like, I can't do this anymore. I can't do drugs anymore. I want to change my life. Literally homeless. He had become homeless. And he walks in on a Wednesday. I meet him and said, Ed, tells me the story. Said, what are you doing after church? It's like, nothing. Oh, can I take you to a shop and teach you how to weld? It's one of the coolest things you could do. Can I teach you how to weld? Weld? He goes, yeah, weld. I said, if you know how to weld, you can get a job anywhere. I said, really? I go, yeah, come with me. I called a friend of mine, Ireland Engineering. His name is Jeff. I said, Jeff, I'm going to use the shop. I'm going to take a young person and teach him how to weld. He says, no problem. I take him there, set up the table, and so I think it was 6 o'clock. I teach him how to weld. Take about half an hour. Said, Ed, look, it's very easy. Listen to the sound and look at how, the penetration, all that other stuff is. So it went on. So for half an hour later, I realized that, okay, he got it. I said, okay, I'm going to hand you the keys to the shop. I'm going to leave. Close up, okay? And when you're done, close up, and I'll talk to you in the morning, right? I said, leave everything here so when I come, I'll see what you've done. I gave him a bunch of scrap metal. Came back the next morning, he was there before me. The whole shop was clean. He had welded a bunch of stuff. I realized he never went home. And I'm looking at his welds. Russell, I kid you not. This guy, because he was down and out and there's no other this was it for him. This was it for him. You know, he was either going to succeed or he was going to die. You know, and I looked at it as well. It's like, I said, hang on one second. I walked into Jeff. I said, Jeff, we have a welder. You don't need to hire somebody. He can do it. And I'll come and volunteer and watch over him. And he'll weld all that stuff. So Ed got a job. Today, Ed is a very, I have to say, he's well known, one of the best fabricators, I would say, in America. That's how in fact, he gets picked up by hypercar companies, 3D printing companies. He just got picked up. He has his own shop. He has his workers. He has 3 workers there. He just got hired by a company that does electric trucks, the big trucks. They convert them, and he does all their design and fab and fabrication work. And he's the head guy over there. And that became my perfect example. I said, okay, that's what I'm going to do.
Oh, wow. That's awesome.
Yep.
Thanks for sharing that story with us. Mano, we're going to move on to the final segment of the show now, where we get to learn what you like to eat in the San Gabriel Valley. So hang on. Mano, this is what we call the SGV3, and we ask you to share your 3 favorite places to eat in the San Gabriel Valley. So what would be number 1?
Okay, first of all, I tell people, don't pay me, give me food. So the key to my heart is my stomach.
Okay.
I love eating. So my favorite breakfast place is Lee's Hoagie House on Colorado, because it comes with the entertainment of Shahan, the owner.
Entertainment or insult?
Insult entertainment. I love Lee's Hoagie House. Fresh food, fresh breakfast, and they'll do whatever you want them to do. If Shahan is in the right mood, yeah. If he's not, you just don't say anything and just walk out. But that would be my favorite breakfast place. And the 2 other places that I love, of course, Hawaiian Ribeye, Houston.
Okay.
And then Arbor. I love their duck.
Arbor.
Arbor is on Lake, south of Lake, right next to Old Burger Continental. They're closed now. It's like
Arbor. I never heard of that.
Amazing duck, amazing food.
When you say duck, is this like à l'orange, or is it like
it's
Cantonese?
It's not confit. It's not duck confit. It's just they do it just like chicken, not roasted. I would say rotisserie.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how they do it. It's so good. Like, I love Peking duck, right? It's the same concept that skin is still there, and the fillets. I love that. And they have every one of their dishes. Amazing.
Is it a Chinese place?
No, American cuisine. Arbor.
American, and that's doing roast duck.
Yeah, they
wow.
do duck. Their duck dish is amazing. Of course, Houston's consistency, man. Every time, same consistent taste. Amazing. Those would be my 3 favorite spots.
You like the fatty meats. I love the fatty meats. I mean, that's the best, right?
Yeah. Dry meat, you should get arrested. Not as just beef jerky, you know. My wife, on the other hand, she's like, I'd like a filet mignon, cut in half, butterflied, and she's offended a lot of the. She was like, this is great filet mignon, but yeah.
I can see why people like that cut because of the tenderness, but I need some fat. I want more fat.
In the Old Testament, the blood and the fat belong to God.
Thank you for sharing those thoughts with us. Mano, I appreciated this conversation. I enjoyed this. If people want to get in touch with you, maybe even come to hear your message, what's the best way to do that?
So PazNaz, PazNaz, get on the website, and it'll tell you Sunday night service, 5:00 in Lee Chapel. You're welcome to come there and introduce yourself, and it's open for everyone. And it's basically a church service. There's worship and a message and encouragement and the truth.
Awesome. Thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Russell.
Well, there you go. Another episode in the books for you. I hope you got something from this conversation. It's always interesting to me where someone's ministry path is chosen or directed. And I've never come across someone who used rock music, in this way, especially because, when you hear of those bands, you don't especially think of ministry, but fascinating to hear that story of using this gift, I would say, to reach people in this way. So I don't know, that's what I got from this episode. I hope you got something from this. If you like this kind of content, please don't forget to like and share. And if you want to check out more of our content, check them out on our website, mysgv.net. Don't forget that we're still selling the MySGV Food Passport. They're good through the end of June 2026. So pick yours up today if you haven't already at mysgvfoodpassport.com. And until next week, we'll see you then. Thank you for joining us on the MySGV podcast. Check out more of our content on our website, mysgv.net. This show was produced by Scott Wormuth, directed by Russell Mano, edited by Victoria Allers, and original music by Yone OG. If you'd like to join us next week as we capture and share more stories from our diverse community, feel welcome.
Nice mother. No, kind mother.